Would you please stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming out on a kind of a blustery night. The first item on our agenda is our commission weekly reports, and Commissioner Moore, welcome back.
Thank you. This week, I'm going to try to attend the Housing Summit with the Master Builders in Olympia. And on Thursday, I was serving lunch with Commissioner Jeffries and a core commissioner at the Senior Center. On Friday, I will be attending a city strategic planning session. And that's it for this week. Oh, wait, I have one more thing. I want to remind everyone that there is a Shelton Metropolitan Parks District meeting next week on March 28th at 1:45 p.m. Yeah, I'm finished.
All right.
I am going to be at Choice tomorrow morning, and I also have my Mason County Board of Health meeting tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday, I'll be at the Housing Summit hosted by the Olympia Master Builders in Lacey. Thursday, my weekly briefing with Dave, and Friday, the city's strategic planning. And that's my week.
And I will also be on Wednesday planning to attend the Master Builders Housing Summit in Olympia. On Friday, I will also be planning to attend our City Commission retreat. And that concludes our commission reports. There is a general public comment period where if someone would like to say something to us. This is one of the opportunities. Do we have somebody signed in?
Did you want to speak on the first general public comment?
I'd like to speak on two issues with the public comment period first. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Tom Davis, 170 West Bushy Road. I'd like to spend my 3 minutes on the public comment period to speak about the public comment. This is the only board that has a 3-minute public comment, and something that's that I've bristled about for some time. If you're going to have the 3-minute comment, then there has to be some consistency, because if more people get a chance to speak multiple times on issues, as I noticed in the last meeting that was held at 6 o'clock, then it's unfair. This is a recorded meeting. We'd all like to carry on. We'd all like to talk quite a bit about our opinion on any particular issue. So if there is going to be a change in this, or this is arbitrary in some way, or if people who that you like what they're saying get more time than people that you don't like what they're saying, then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the public comment. Everything should be weighed equally here. We're all taxpayers. We all pay to be here. And for my money, it's the most interesting part of this process. So I urge you in the future to have some continuity to this, allow people to continue their thought, or at least complete their thought when they start speaking, or just do away with it altogether. You find that people self-monitor very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
The rest are
That's it?
speaking later on.
Very good. For the record, this 3-minute rule was in place long before I was here. I tried to adhere to that rule, but generally, and I try to let people finish their thought up to about 30 seconds more than that rule, and so sometimes I do make mistakes, but I do know many times that I have given you 9 minutes. 3 separate times, 3-3-minute intervals yourself many times. So I think that we've been more than fair to give everybody ample opportunity. So that's just my take on it. Next is our consent agenda, and are we ready for the reading of the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, could we please have a reading of the consent agenda?
Okay.
Consent agenda, vouchers numbered 11164 through 11286 in the amount of $410,044.82. Payroll warrants numbered 1724 through 1864 and 1044 through 11067 in the amount of $608,703.76. 3, commission minute meetings from study session of February 29th of this year, business meeting of March 7th of this year, study session of March 14th of this year. Number 4, Foster Pepper LLC services contract, authorize the city administrator to sign. And 5, chief of police employment contract, authorize the city administrator to sign.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
I second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. The agenda passes. All right. Now, we had moved something from the consent agenda just to make sure that everybody does have ample time to speak about another issue. So this is concerning a resolution to revising our fee and adopting some new fees. So we're going to talk again about that. We would like to invite the public at this time, if they have anything more they'd like to weigh in on, to come and provide your comment. This is an action item, and so I would say now would be the opportunity for any public comment concerning the fee reduction. So do we have some people signed in for that?
Heidi Petten? On the resolution? Oh, okay.
Heidi McCutcheon, 215 West Railroad Avenue. Just,
It's the bottom one, it's this mic here.
how's that? Okay. Just wanted to state my support of this resolution. I think that it is a good means of offering incentive for people to further develop Shelton, as well as balanced with fiscal responsibility of not waiving the fees entirely, so that you're covering your costs. There have been several other areas that have offered incentives not unlike this, that has greatly increased economic development, as well as retrofitting and rehab of older houses. I just wanted to applaud you in taking this step. We're very encouraged by it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joshua Deere?
Good evening. My name is Joshua Deal, and I am the Government Affairs Director for Olympia Master Builders, your local building association. And I'm just here to say thank you to the commissioners and to the staff who worked very hard on this resolution to reduce impact and building fees within the city of Shelton. I'm also very excited about this opportunity because talking with my members and builders and people in the community, everybody's excited about the idea of seeing more development in Shelton and breaking the habit we've gotten into with only 2 homes being built a year. So I think this is a good thing for the city of Shelton, a good thing for builders, and a good thing for future residents who want to move here and help the economy here grow. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Kevin Schmelzlin?
Good evening. I have more than comments, some questions that I'd like to ask the commissioners, if that's okay with you. Commissioner McDowell, you're the one commissioner I haven't asked this before. What do you see as the 3 top issues affecting Shelton? If you're willing.
Yeah, this may be, so lots of times we do or we don't. We choose kind of what we want to answer, because sometimes people catch you when you're unprepared for something. But let me just relate to our city administrator to see what.
I can move forward. I can
Well,
move
that's,
forward.
I'll give you an extra minute to clarify this. Okay.
You're asking about something that's not what the commission is addressing on the agenda right now. You're asking a general question. And
Not really, though. It's pertinent.
it doesn't appear to be relevant to the item that's in front of them, because you're asking them to go off track by naming 3
Okay,
things.
then I'm just going to move forward with my comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I have heard from one of our commissioners, Commissioner Moore. I've asked the same question. What are the 3 issues affecting Shelton? And I heard they were centered around lack of pride in our city, lack of perceived sense of community, and I forget the other one, I'm sorry, but they were community focused. I asked Mayor Krantz, you said money, 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 right? You see those as the top 3 issues affecting Shelton. Is that correct?
The lack of money is the number 1 issue for the city.
Okay. I see it differently, but I have some questions regarding the what we're looking to get out of this new development, out of these new buildings. Because we're talking about, we're so excited to get more than 2 new houses built. When I look at the market, I see a hot rental market right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a real lack of rentals, big lack.
How about the homeowner market? Homes where the people who own the homes are also living in them. Would you say that's hot or cold?
I'm not a realtor, I don't know that.
I'd say it's really cold right now. That's why we have well over 100 homes in city limits that are currently waiting and waiting and waiting to be sold. So we're talking about building new houses.
I would challenge that, because the realtors have come in here and said that the home price in the city of Shelton rose 18% last year. So it appears that that market is rising, and I've heard other realtors say they can't keep things, that they need more houses to sell, because, so I think that's a gray area on that, just to be fair and balanced on what we're doing here.
Okay, well, fair and balanced is great. I can go ahead and, drive around town and see how many houses I can find up for sale. I think that would give a, pretty good answer. And, I think also important is...
Go ahead, you got a little more time,
Okay.
because I took your time.
Thank you. How long these houses are sitting and who are moving into these homes. Are they renters? Are they homeowners? And when these homes are being built, when people are moving into them, assuming people are moving into them, are they renters moving in? Are they homeowners? And are the renters more likely to take good care of that home, of their property, of the house itself? Or are homeowners more likely to take care of the property, make sure the yard isn't covered in garbage, make sure that it's well painted and looks well maintained? And that is probably my biggest issue with this fee reduction proposal, is not really knowing who the heck is going to be building these and for what purpose. I think if we're talking about homeowners, people who are actually going to be invested in our city, that's a different story. But if we're talking about renters, I'm a renter, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with renters, but renters are not going to have the same investment in our city as homeowners. And I think that's really important. It's great that we have, a hot something market, but what we need is a hot homeowners market. I think that is what's going to cause a greater shift for Shelton, allow us to actually have more businesses coming in, more people spending money downtown in our city in general, and not people who are just coming from Olympia and looking for a cheaper place to live, who are going to be spending their money in Olympia, going to school in Olympia, working in Olympia, and then just coming here because it's cheap to rent. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Tom Davis?
Thank you, Commissioners. Tom Davis again. My understanding was we had 3 minutes on each separate issue, but
Yep.
not to get too far down into the weeds on that. I tried to bring forth here the last couple of 3 meetings the facts of this proposal, that it has no foundation under it to hold it up. I tried to bring forth to this commission that there is absolutely no proof that this has worked anywhere else. As a matter of fact, there is a downside to it, but there is very likely not an upside to it. And I guess my biggest concern at this point is that when the city commission makes a proposal or brings forth a proposal like this, it has to have some underpinnings to it. I understand that it seems right, that it seems feasible, and that it might be popular with a certain segment of the population, but it just doesn't gel out. There is a downside, and I'll probably let Commissioner Moore talk a little bit about the downside of it, but I can't seem to get it through my skull here why you would do this without any factual evidence. Other cities have tried this also, and they have realized the downside, or they have realized no side. But you're going to offset some of the fees, or you're going to relieve some of the people who are doing some of the larger developments here, and you're not going to get the full fees. That's going to cause an additional burden on the taxpayer, and it may or may not result in more money coming out of the general fund to subsidize some of the bigger utility projects that you have. But I don't understand, if you made an argument that was based on factual evidence, we could, at least as a member of the public, have a discussion. But no one has presented anything. I presented evidence that shows that it's not going to work. Will it make a huge difference? Is it going to make the difference between failure or success in this town? No, it won't. But it seems patently unfair to me that the people who have been paying these impact fees through their mortgages for all these years to have to continue to carry that burden just to favor a certain population or a special interest. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. That's it. All right, so Commissioner Moore, would you like to weigh in on this subject again?
I would like to weigh in just briefly. I think I've made my stand and given my reasons for that abundantly clear. And whether it works or not, the fact is that building and development has picked up in our city. It has picked up. It is picking up. We have people who are waiting to do projects here. We could gamble if those were not coming in and think maybe we would attract more growth and development now. But basically what we're doing is having a big sale in the middle of the season. You know, it doesn't make sense when we have big commercial projects, especially coming in, to waive the fees. Or reduce the fees drastically. So I just firmly believe that it doesn't make sense to me at all. I would have been extremely happy to have talked about it and maybe seen if there was a more equitable way that we could do this, if there was more of a push towards giving a reduction in fees to properties that were being rehabbed or properties that would come back on the tax rolls. But we didn't ever talk about that. We didn't ever really talk about options. And I think that's really unfortunate because I think that we could have come across a product that we could all be proud of and that we could all be in favor of. So I've made that really clear. It's the wrong timing. It's too much. We didn't really examine the effects of this. We are hoping for positive effects, but each of those positive effects, more development, more growth, is going to put more of a burden on our staff and on our existing funding because it's not going to pay for itself. The other thing that I am really concerned about, and I really question the legality of extending the fee reductions out in the county to properties in the urban growth area, because I see no way that that benefits the citizens of Shelton to give that same break to people in the urban growth area. And so I'm definitely against that, and I do question the legality of if that is a gift of public funds. So it's too bad. I would like to have supported an innovative plan, but I don't believe that this has been researched. I don't believe that it's, I don't think it's responsible. And so I haven't changed my opinion.
I guess not. Commissioner McDowell, did you want to weigh in on this?
No, I said my piece a while back, and so I don't really have much more to say, except that we're trying that for 1 year.
And I will say that when I disagree with somebody, I try and be polite and give them the benefit of the doubt and not resort to name calling or things like that. And what I've done in this whole process is there's been a question about we haven't had time to talk about different options and things. Here's the deal, we've talked about this for 3 months. The first meeting in January, I brought it forward, and we directed staff to move forward on this. We have talked about it just about every commission meeting for 3 months. Now's the time to, what they say, fish or cut bait, and I'm extremely excited and very confident that this will be a positive thing for our community. And I base my study is talking to the citizens. My study is building 100 homes in this community and knowing fees and development regulations and restrictions and codes for a long time. And that I think that what happened is Shelton did what a lot of people in a lot of cities did, and they grew, and when they thought they were going to grow, then all the fees went way up, and then all of a sudden, this city shut down 10 plus years ago. And it's not bounced back since. So if we do, the reason I'm for it, the reason I support this is that if we do the same thing we've been doing, then we cannot expect much more than what we've been getting. And 2 homes a year is not what we call success. I hope that the economy has been picking up, and I hope this will encourage more economy to pick up, because we owe, again, from a majority of cities our size across the state, most of them owe $5 or $10 million. We owe 5 to 10 times that amount. We just borrowed $300,000 to keep this city floating, and literally, we continue to come up with requests to add to that $300,000. This is an opportunity to jumpstart this economy, and I will gamble my political future on this. If we all fail, if it fails, and we only build 1 home this year, then okay. But we have to do something different, and I think this is a great plan. Just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean they're wrong. It means we disagree. And, so I think that this is, and as far as the citizens, we have to respect them and try and be fair and balanced with what we're doing to them. Their water and sewer garbage rates are through the roof, and they're continuing to climb in that direction. They need other players to come into town to help them so that we can fund these infrastructure projects by a broader pool than just the people that are sitting here, the ones that are remaining. So we've talked on and on. Most of our things have stayed the same. We're going to give it a go for 1 year if we concur that that's what we should do. So we've all talked about it again for 3 months. So at this point, I think we concur that what we want to do is have a reading of Resolution 1088-0316, please.
Resolution 1086-0316, a resolution of the City of Shelton amending Resolution 1083-0715, the city fee schedule, revising fees, and adopting new fees effective April 2nd, 2016.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 1088-0316?
I make a motion to accept the resolution of the City of Shelton amending Resolution 1083-0715, the city fee schedule, revising fees and adopting new fees effective April 2nd, 2016.
And I second that motion. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Opposed?
I am opposed.
Okay. The resolution passes. Thank you very much. There is no business at this time, but there is, I'll turn this meeting over to Dave O'Leary, our city administrator, to see if he has a report, I believe, concerning Sahara Pacific.
There is a building on the Simpson site that is still there, has not been burned down. It is the railroad dispatch building, and essentially it sits at the edge of the property right next to the railroad tracks, and it was, purpose of the building was to manage trains coming and going on the Simpson Railroad. I'm told from Commissioner Moore that this is actually the oldest building that exists on the Simpson property. And received a call last week from a representative from SPI, said that the building happens to be sitting directly over top of land they want to use to extend utilities into the site. So they said, we can give you at least 30 days to move the building, and if not, we will demolish it. The building is very near to the roundhouse. In fact, you can walk right by it when you go to the roundhouse. In fact, I think most of us that toured the roundhouse, I don't know, some months ago, actually stopped and looked in the building when we were there. So at this point, the commission needed to hear about that. I'm not sure what decision we would make, but we wanted to get authorization to go out and find out what the facts were with it before we, in order to be able to look at whether or not it can or should be saved. The needed to come fairly quickly to you because, as I say, it said 30 days as of, I think it was Thursday of last week. So the things that we would look at is what would it take to move it, where would you put it, how much would it cost, where does the money come from, all those kinds of baseline things we need to look at. Under normal circumstances, I would hand this off to Steve and say, Steve, I got something else for you to do, and I've done a lot of that recently, and so what I'm promising is to work on this myself, and I'll get it to Steve to do as much as I can, but I'll take principal responsibility for getting this work done myself. So at any rate, but what we needed was to come and report to you and make sure that you're on board with us working on it.
My question is, working on it is something that I would probably say would be a good idea. We'd have to know to go to do what it costs, and, grants and things like that maybe might be options and stuff, just because as we've heard, money is money, and short on it. And so I guess just work on it, staff time and stuff, but I don't have any problem investigating it and seeing what we need to do.
It's a little bit of an unusual thing. Usually we'll do this kind of baseline work. Commissioner Moore, our Public Works Commissioner, is probably going to take on some of these duties as well. Maybe research grants and do some things like that ordinarily the commissioners wouldn't do, but I think we're kind of marshaling the resources to pull this together, given the short notice that we have.
It happens, we only have 30 days.
To make a decision.
To make a decision, or would they leave it there longer?
Probably, but at this point, they're only committing to 30 days. Once we've got an idea of what we have to deal with, and we probably need another conversation with SPI and say, okay, we believe we can get this done in this much time. Can you give us that much time? So there's a certain amount of negotiation to do as well.
Takes time for some grants to come through.
Maybe. Sometimes it does, but if you've got a really motivated grantor, you can get things done quickly too. And it's just that's what we need right now.
How big is the building?
I don't know.
20 by 20?
Yeah, maybe 300-400 square feet probably.
Two-story?
No, it's just a single story. Yeah, it's fairly small, so it isn't like a house. It's much smaller than a house. It's bigger than a tiny house, but not as big as
A large house.
Bigger than a tiny, I like the tiny house, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we make a tiny house out of it. I'm glad to go forward, let's find out, let's get the fact about it.
I would like to say that I found out, I thought about this as well on Thursday night. I've been on the phone a lot. I've identified 2 potential emergency grants, which I don't know if that would be enough. I've also talked to the people who were involved in moving the building back in the day, it was moved from the Railroad Avenue site down to the current site when the new roundhouse was built down in Simpson. So as far as the plans that we've had, that building has always been on our radar, and it has always been identified as a very critical part of the museum idea. And although in itself it may not qualify to be listed on the National Register, it is definitely a contributing building to the roundhouse. So I talked to the people who had moved it last time. They used 2 cranes and picked it up and put it on a flatbed car. So I have the railroad, several of the railroad clubs around trying to come up with ideas to help us do that. So a lot of it will hinge on what kind of agreement we can work out with Sierra Pacific, and if we can carve out a piece of property near the roundhouse to put the building. So it's a challenge to do anything like that in 30 days.
Just a common sense solution is a possibility that we could somehow figure out the money to put that on the dolly or whatever, and at least move it out of the way, let them do the thing, and then we think about where we're really going to locate it, what kind of foundation, and that's probably in restoring the building, that's the big money. But to lift it up and move it and at least get it out of the way, preserve it for future use and benefit, we possibly figure out how we can afford to do it, especially if there's some grants in there. So it might be a 2-pronged approach there. Save the building and then restore the building. Well, I'm very open to do that, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We need to, the old loggers are dying off. The old
Really?
Grisdale, Gobi loggers are dying off. The mill workers are leaving town, and in 100 years, this is all that's going to be left of any historical value for Shelton. So we really need to work hard on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all time and money, so we got the thumbs up on at least moving forward with that. Okay.
Thank you both.
Okay,
Yep.
and we concur that one. Is
Yep.
that what we
Yep.
concur?
Yeah, I like that. I like when that happens.
All right. Now, we also, does that complete the administration report?
That's it.
Okay, so we have another general public comment. Anybody like to speak about something? There's another 3-minute opportunity, which we generally give. Okay, nobody signed in, so administration final touches?
That is on the purpose sheet, Your Honor.
Very good, thank you. Okay, mayor's notice of excused absence. Oh yeah, I'm going on a personal freedom retreat. But it's only going to last for like 1 day, and then I got to be at the master builder meeting. And then it's going to last for 1 more day, then I got to go to the city retreat. Then I'm going to take 3 days and go someplace else, and then I got to be back for another meeting. So it's not like a 2-week real vacation, but I'm going on a personal freedom retreat, and this is my notice. I will not be here at our next Monday meeting, because one of them I got to skip. I'm not going to do all of them. So anyway, that's what's happening here. Tonight, we adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting, I think, it's usually written here in my final print. Our next meeting will be next Monday. Thank you.